But my video keeps getting darker every dang time. But anyway, back to Colonia, Nick managed to pack some bottles of the diluted oxycodone to take to the next drug trade. Because remember, those gangster dudes are willing to let Colonia get some, supplies in exchange for drugs, oxycodone pills. Because remember, there's a bunch of druggies that are there with the gangsters in that little shopping place. And it turns out one of those little druggies is actually the sister of one of the gangster dudes, right? That's the only reason why he needs the drugs for his sister. So Alejandro tells Nick that Alejandro tells the story to Nick about how he was bitten, and apparently he was bitten because he was trying to rescue a junkie boy. And unfortunately, they thought that this junkie boy was mistaken as an infected by the mob, right? And he tried to rescue the junkie boy because, people thought he was infected, but he wasn't. He was just a junkie kid, right? So he tried to rescue him, and that's how he got bitten. And for some reason, his wound just magically healed without any incident. And that pretty much gave him the reputation of being immune. And, despite the story, I don't know if I could still 100% believe it, but the story is kind of convincing a little bit. Like, I could kind of see Alejandro with a group of people, and they're like, oh my god, look, there's an infected, but it turned out to be a druggy kid. And he that there are some good people out there, and they're like, no, he's human, he's just a junkie, let's try to save him. I can see Alejandro trying to save an innocent person who was mistaken for an infected, but I still can't see him getting bitten by an infected and it's healed. And him not turning into one. I still can't see it though. I can see him trying to save a junkie kid. I can't see him getting bit by an infected and it magically healed and him being immune. I can't do it. But anyway, in the courtyard, Nick and Alejandro are seeing Luciana play soccer with some kids, and Nick joins the game. But Francisco arrives and tells Alejandro that they found someone torn into pieces. And Luciana comes up to them and is like, she says out loud that Nick actually hears, they found him, and then she mentions a name, and it happens to be Pablo, which is one of the names in the title of this episode. So we're gonna find out who Pablo is. And when Nick and Luciana leave for Colonia to make the drug trade, Nick is wondering who the heck is Pablo. I almost cursed. He's wondering who's Pablo, and Luciana explains that Pablo was in fact her brother. And that means poor Pablo was torn to pieces, which sucks so bad for them. Nick is hugging her as she's crying, because I don't blame her. Judging by this, it turns out, Luciana and her brother were separated for a bit. And they were looking for him, and they found him torn up to pieces, which I don't blame her for crying, because if that was my brother, I'd be bursting out in tears, you know what I mean? And, back in the hotel, Hector, Alicia, and Strand begin their sweep of the hotel. They have this little plan, try to lure all the people that... Remember, Elena trapped all the infected in separate little rooms, right? So they're opening the doors to sweep out everyone in the hotel. And they're releasing the infected. Alicia stabs in the head. At the same time, Alicia and Hector drag the infected bodies from the hotel to the beach. And, the party guests are starting to help out. They start to pitch in. And Alicia tells Madison it will take weeks to clear the entire hotel with the strategy they're doing right now, which is pretty true, because, hang on. Sorry about that. I thought I heard something and it creeped me out so bad. But anyway, back where I was saying, with the strategy they have going door by door, Alicia is all worried because it will take them weeks to clear out the entire hotel like that. So Alicia discovers a riptide right underneath the pier where they're at, right? And that pretty much gives her a new plan to clear all the infected out in one swoop. And I think it's Alicia got some brains right now, that brain power. But anyway, Elena brings Madison, Alicia, and Strand to the foyer and connects all the 3 sections to the hotel, right? And they devise a plan to channel all the infected onto the foyer and onto the pier. And Outside the hotel, Alicia and Hector. Why did I say Lector? But anyway, Alicia and Hector are luring the herd of infected inside by playing music on Alicia's phone. Meanwhile, Strand and Elena open all the doors to the hotel, releasing all the trapped infected, right? And as the infected are let out, Madison bangs on a metal bowl, using the sound to lead them to the connecting foyer, where she's joined by Strand, Elena, Alicia, and Hector, all leading their separate herds from the different sections of the hotel to meet on the foyer. And once the herds meet, Madison tells Elena, Alicia, and Strand to get out this adjoining door and lock it behind them, while she's left leading the unified pact of infected out to the pier, right? Back on the beach, Alicia and Hector ride the Zodiac, because apparently the Zodiac is still there in the water as the party guests watch from ashore. And Madison's all leading the herd at the end of the pier and literally jumps off the pier into the water, where Alicia and Hector rescue her in the Zodiac, and the herd, following Madison, they get into the water and they're swallowed up by the riptide. Which I was like, that is the greatest plan ever, but how do you manage to get them to still follow? Because, over time they're just going to get bored and wander off, right? Hang on for a sec, guys. My bad, I was watching something. But anyway, back to Colonia. The cool thing is, Alejandro's kind of spoiling Nick right now because he manages to give Nick a private trailer. Hang on for a sec. There you go. But anyway, he gives Nick a private trailer, which Nick humbly accepts the gift, right? And, hold on, what the heck? Sorry about that, I was watching one of my shows. But anyway, Nick is seen in his trailer trying to teach himself Spanish while Luciana stops by. I believe this is at night. And, she asks Nick about his family, because Nick actually mentions his sister in their conversation. And, he tells her about how he lost his father, telling that we all lost somebody in their group at one point in time. And, they have the conversations about family and all that stuff, and, Luciana's helping teach Spanish to him. And at one point, she fell asleep in Nick's bed and wakes up and apologizes for falling asleep and tries to leave, but Nick stops her and magically they randomly kiss. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna end up doing stuff, right? But anyway, back with Madison's group. Madison's group and the party guests, they're all feasting in the dining table of the hotel, candlelight and everything, but noticing that Oscar, who is the groom, he's not there, right? So Strand asks Elena where the honeymoon suite's located so he could find them. And when Strand finds Oscar guarding the honeymoon suite, Oscar admits that his unfortunately undead bride, Jessica, is inside, and Strand tells Oscar that the infected Jessica is not his wife anymore. And what he says kind of strikes me, because he pretty much says, death parted you, let me help you. And seeing Strand, be sympathetic to somebody is quite a feature in my honest opinion. You never really see that very often. And, Oscar relinquishes the key to Strand to the room, and he enters it and closes behind him, which you can only guess that Strand, privacy to kill the undead bride. And so, quite frankly, I can't help but feel bad for Oscar, It was the happiest day of his life. He was gonna marry the love of his life, his best friend, only for her dad, aka his father-in-law, to die and bite his wife's face off. And to have his wife turn into an infected and all that stuff. And this whole entire situation, you know what I mean? And it blows, so I kind of don't blame Oscar for kind of protecting his wife, despite the fact that she's undead. But, I give props to Strand for, stepping up and showing some sympathy, because you don't get that very often, you know what I mean? And, I like this new point of view of Strand, it's like a fresh breeze, you know what I mean? But anyway, I'm actually highly curious on where on earth Ophelia is, which I most likely will get to in episode 12 and 13, because she most likely will appear or be mentioned again in one of these 2 episodes. So, this is my part 2. Yay! No part 3! Oh my god! I'm so proud! But anyway, this is part 2 of Fear the Walking Dead, season 2, episode 11, Pablo and Jessica, and we all found out that Pablo is, in fact, Luciana's brother, who was found torn to pieces, and Jessica is in fact the bride. But anyway, we found out how Madison and Strand got out of that infected herd. We found out how the bar was barricaded, and we found out how Strand and Madison got to the other side of that locked door where Alicia was. So, we find all that out. And we get a little more background story on how Alejandro got that bite mark, if it's real or not. So, and we see some unity with Madison's group and the wedding survivors. So, Lord knows what's going to happen with episode 12 and 13, and also 14 and 15, which are coming up in October 2nd, which is this Sunday. So, this is part 2. I have no part 3. I feel so proud. Anyway, bye guys. I'll see you guys in episode 12. I was going to say 2. Episode 12, titled Pillar of Salt. Bye, Bluetooth.